All right, so I figured I should come on here and talk about my neighbor's truck a little bit. Got a lot of interest on the video we posted from that project the other day. So what's going on with that is what's always going on with the Pt.2 3.6s, unfortunately. It's just a troublesome V6 that Chrysler puts in just about everything nowadays. If it's got a V6, it's probably a Pt.2. And you're going to have some issues, especially if you don't take really good care of it. And I mean really good care, better than you normally would have to on a vehicle to keep it running reliably. So this summer, my neighbor started complaining about the occasional overheating of his 2018 Dodge Ram V6. And, you know, he kind of threw everything reasonable in the book at it. And that's to say that he put a new radiator in, he put a new water pump, he put a new thermostat, checked coolant leaks, all that stuff. And still the problem persisted. He even took it up to our local mechanic shop down the road and had them put the machine on it and do a coolant flush, and still no results. So I looked into it a little bit for him, just searching around the internet, because a lot of these kind of problems can be, you know, common known issues. And in this case, the good news is it was that. In fact, just to make sure that my diagnosis was correct, he took his truck up to that local mechanic shop down the street and had them put some of their more sophisticated diagnosis tools, some of their computer scanners that I don't have in my home garage, put those to the task, and they were not able to return any more definitive results. They didn't show a blown head gasket. They didn't show bad compression in the cylinders. You know, everything seems to be working right, except for when it occasionally overheats and also pushes a little coolant out of the relief valve in the radiator cap. So that tells you that it's because too much pressure is building up in the coolant system somewhere. Now, these 3.6 Pt.2 V6s, they're known for that issue. They call it head constipation. And it's because a couple different things, actually. When they designed these heads, they designed very narrow cooling passages in some of the areas of the heads. And that, coupled with the fact that they're sand casting the manufacturing process, and it's very important that you clean out all of the grains of sand after manufacturing something like a cylinder head, because even just one grain of sand left in there can cause buildup over time in your cooling system, and then cause a clog and excessive pressure and overheating and, you know, uneven cooling, all kinds of problems. And that is basically the problem that my neighbor was having with his truck. So my diagnosis was, we're going to have to pull the timing components off, pull the heads off, and at least replace the head gaskets. When you're that deep in, may as well replace the timing components like the chain, guides, tensioners, yada yada, and maybe even get new heads. So when he got his second opinion from the shop down the street, they pretty much told him the same thing, except for they wanted to send his heads out for $1,400 to have them inspected by a machine shop, which makes sense, because you really have to make sure when you're doing all that work and having the customer spend all that money that it gets fixed properly and fully, so you don't have to take it back apart again, because that is a lot of deep engine surgery there. Now, the $1,400 for inspection and maybe cleaning up the mating surface seems like a lot, but when you factor in the cost of just getting new heads at the price that the local mechanic shop would charge for the parts after they mark them up, it actually makes sense. Now, if we're not paying their markup, which we're not, since he decided to do it on his own with my help, we can get a lot better of a deal on the heads. So in our case, we're going to skip sending the heads out and having them inspected and having the mating surface refinished for $1,400. And we're just going to get remanufactured heads, which in my opinion are probably more trustworthy than brand new heads from the original manufacturer. And why is that? Who created the problem? Chrysler, the original manufacturer. So my hope would be that a set of rebuilt heads that we get will have been rebuilt with the known problem in mind and be really carefully prepared and inspected. Gives us a better shot anyway. So basically what we're doing is we're replacing all the timing components, the head gaskets, all the other related gaskets like valve cover gaskets, timing cover gaskets, and in this case, oil pan gasket, because in this instance, we had to drop both oil pans in order to access one of the sprockets and chains that drives the oil pump.